kind of
I have some.
trying to get over it.
I think they'd be entertaining.
That one's
We get after it, trying to get it back to somewhat normal, so.
You drink a lot.
We're just-
I yelled at you.
we're going to start in about 30 seconds, Jimmy.
I yelled at you in the parade, but you didn't see me, so that's all right. You had, I think we were pushing a stroller. Oh, yeah, that's good. But, all in all, it was a good parade, kind of hot.
Good evening, and welcome to the caucus meeting prior to tonight's council meeting to be held on Tuesday, July 17th at 7 p.m. Michelle, would you please call the roll?
Scott,
Here.
Bergio,
Here.
Orcutt,
Here.
Stem,
Here.
Mancini,
Here.
Poindexter,
Here.
Salvatore.
Here. Now, please all rise. Pledge of allegiance. For those of you who are wondering why I'm running the meeting tonight, Mike's running a little bit late, so I'm going to fill in for him until he arrives. So we'll move right into discussion, item number 1. Michelle, you want to read this, item number 1?
A resolution authorizing all actions necessary to accept a community development block grant for the purchase of 3 police cruisers and declaring an emergency, introduced by Mayor Gamella per Council President Vecchio.
Mayor, I'd like to turn it over to you if you're, I know it's pretty self-explanatory, and as time is of the essence, and if you could indicate that to us, that would be a big help.
Well, this is the 3 police cruisers that we're going to be getting from the county through a grant, through the hard work of Scott Adams, and it is time sensitive, so we could move it on. That would be a good thing, but again, we're getting 3 police cruisers at no cost to the city.
I'll open it up to the floor. Any questions? Councilman Mancini?
Good to see you up there, Mr. Council President Pro Tem, running the meeting again. Very good. Through the chair, if I could go to the mayor, please.
Sure.
Mayor, on this, if we do put this forward and we move this along, the money we appropriated towards the police, for everything out there, that'll generally stay there?
Yes.
Everything we towards the police?
Yes, this will be above and beyond for them to get the 3 cruisers that they
Okay.
need.
If just a few residents have asked, and usually when residents ask, I'll ask just to be sure. I was pretty sure of that, but I appreciate your answer, and this was a good job to get this, so thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
And again, I'd like to give my congratulations to Mr. Adams, that, working on this grant again, got us 3 new cruisers at no cost to the city, so Scott, good job.
Councilman Bergio?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, we have a timeline on how long it'll take to get these cruisers?
Mr. Adams is in the audience. I'll let him answer that. But again, we have to get moving on this first, Carl. Scott, do we have a timeline? And Mr. Chairman, may I go to Mr. Adams, please?
Certainly. As part of the administration, just state your name and address for the record and leave the $25 in the box on your right there.
Used to be 50. You're
Well, you
slipping.
get a discount because you work for the city.
Scott Adams, 6161 Engle Road, Brook Park, Ohio, Economic Development Commissioner. And through the chair, if I may, to Councilman Bergio, the resolution is necessary because what they did is was a hybrid application period. They gave us approximately 17 days to complete this, which we did it in 9. And they waived the resolution request up front. That's usually done first because they said that would take up to 6 weeks for some communities. So what they want to do now that they awarded it to us last Monday at 3:30 at their county caucus council meeting, they need the resolution and 5 other pieces of documentation which I've gathered to accept the funds to come into our city. So that's what this resolution does. So if it is council's privilege, but if you could suspend and pass it tonight, it would be a big help to speed the process along to meet their deadlines. As far as the financing, what will take place, it's a reimbursement. So the city will put the funds out. sometime, I think, in September, October. Then we reapply with a paid receipt invoice from the Ford dealer that we're getting the 3 Explorer cruisers through to the county, and the county reimburses us 100%. There's no match in this grant, which is a good thing.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that.
Sure.
And if there's no other questions, I'd make a motion to place it on tonight's regular agenda.
Support. Well, before I accept that motion, are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, okay, a motion has been made to place on tonight's council agenda. It's been properly supported by Councilman Mancini. Any questions on the motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
so that is for the council meeting immediately following this one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bergia,
Yes.
Mancini,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
That number will be 21-2018. We'll move on to item number 2 under discussion. Michelle, would you like to read it?
An ordinance approving a parking lot addition and alterations at 17400 Holland Road, Brook Park City Hall Administrative Offices, located in the Municipal and Board of Education Zone, and declaring an emergency. Introduced by Mayor Gamella, per Council President Vecchio.
Again, I'll go right to the mayor.
Thanks, Rick. Council, I said before we did the parking lot, we'd come back to you and let you know. We have a plan drawn up. The engineer could speak to it. It has passed planning. It was approved at the Planning Commission meeting. And Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the funds are available by the previous council. They've been put in. But again, before we did it, I told council we would bring it to you, let you look it over. And again, it did pass planning unanimously.
Thank you, Mayor. Are there any questions? Councilman Poindexter.
Thank you, Pro Tem Council President. Through the chair to the mayor, if I may. How long will the construction of this parking lot take, and will it coincide with opening of City Hall?
I'll defer to the engineer on how long it will take. We'll probably, I can say this, we will be in City Hall before the lot is finished, but I think it's important that we have a parking lot for the employees. They can endure, especially in the nice weather, we're not having to walk through the snow and ice. But Ed, if you would please, if the chair doesn't mind.
Sure, no, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would anticipate construction on this probably 3 to 4 weeks. We have not advertised for bids on this project yet, so that still needs to take place. We didn't want to put the cart before the horse and, put it out to bid and then have council or planning commission come back and say, hey, we don't like it, or no, we got to do something different. So I don't anticipate this project starting for probably another 6-8 weeks. But once we get started, I would think that it would go pretty quick, and we would have it in, in late summer, early fall.
Councilman Mancini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to Ed, could you give us just a graph of it's for general purpose and general audience knowledge, exactly what this parking lot will consist of, and the tennis courts of such, the green space, what will go, what will stay, if you could give us a quick briefing?
Well, there's a sketch in the packet of one of the site layout plan that we have. I think we're adding, 13, 14 spaces, 13 along the back by the tennis courts. In the grass area, there'd be no loss of use for the tennis courts. Then we'd be adding, another 3 spaces in that island area between the new city hall and that access drive between, the old city hall and Holland Road. So some new sidewalk and a catch basin, some piping. Really a pretty simple project. Concrete curbing with asphalt have considered bidding concrete as an alternate. However, I don't know if that would be advisable at this point, but that's something that I would still consider, but that's basically it in a nutshell.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Any other questions? Councilman Orcutt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Ed, how many parking spots did you say that was going to be total?
We're adding 13, 14 along the, I'm just looking here, I'm sorry, I didn't catch this on the agenda, so I wasn't really prepared.
Either did I.
14 spaces along the tennis courts. If you look, there's 13 spaces at 9'6", and then one of them at 11. So that would be your 14. And then on the right side of the drawing, there's 3 more spaces that are being added, and the existing spaces in that existing lot will be restriped to more match what will be going in with the other spaces.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Councilman Stem.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to the finance director, what's the total cost on this project?
It hasn't changed. Yeah.
Through the chair to Councilman Stem, I believe that with the engineering and the advertising, it was roughly 170,000 in that ballpark.
Okay, thank you.
All depends on how the bids come back.
Sure.
Any other questions? What is council's pleasure?
Motion to move to tonight's council meeting?
Support.
Second.
Motion to place this on tonight's council agenda, properly supported. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Mancini,
Yes.
Giorgio,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes. That number will be 11,030-2018. It will move the agenda to the Finance Committee. That'll be Chairman Councilman Scott.
Yes, thank you, sir. We have one item here. It is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract for the sale of property located at 15810 Harrison Drive, permanent parcel number 343-07-048, and declare an emergency. Introduced by Mayor Camella, per Council President Vecchio. Floor is all yours, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was a piece of property that was abandoned in very poor shape. We picked it up free of charge, and we sold it, and I'll have our Economic Development Director come up to give you the finer details. However, the city really does not have an investment in this property, but it is being sold to a person who's going to fix the property up. So if the chair would allow the Economic Development Director to come to the podium, please.
So be it.
Oh, you're the chairman. Go ahead. Let him in.
Let him in.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening, Council. Scott Adams, 6161 Engle Road, Economic Development Commissioner, City of Brook Park. Council, what this is a property, and I have in attendance also the building commissioner who can give you a further background on the condition and the history of this property. It's been vacant in our community for close to 10 years. And if you looked at the appraisal I gave you, you'll see the photos. They're very true and accurate to the condition. The property fell in disrepair after an individual that lived in there, I believe, became ill, and it just fell behind in taxes, and then it went through the foreclosure process for many years. Sometime around 2010, it began that process, and it ended up being awarded to the Brook Park Land Reutilization Program September of 2017. So after my appointment to the position, I began to look at the land reutilization program as a way to create additional capital funds for the city to do other development needs. And this was the first property that I looked at and walked through with our building commissioner and made a determination that the bones are still solid, but the electrical is totally shot. It's going to need complete rewiring. The electrical boxes are corroded and shot, as you can see from the photos. The plumbing is in great disrepair. All new fixtures would be required, if not some piping. And then your HVAC system has to be torn out, replaced. I think they may be able to use some of the existing vents, but the indication was they would remove those and rebuild that section also. It's almost a tear-out rebuild at this point. The good news is it only has 3 roofs on it, so I don't think it's going to leak anytime soon. So they have to have a complete tear-off on that roof system. The gutters may be savable, and the windows and the siding will get repainted, and of course landscaping will have to be torn out, redone. The garage has some cracking in its foundation, but otherwise it's still in usable condition. The basement on this facility has some rot, as you can see in the one photo where the paint is peeling. It's an original home. If you ever wanted to see an original bungalow, although it's in disrepair, this is original as it can get. Original flooring, which is rotted away and torn out, walls peeling paint from the years. You know, I think I belabored a point, but I wanted to give you the condition. The estimate to rehab this property is in the range of $40,000. The individual, so what we decided after talking with the mayor is said, let's get some offers generated on it. And so I posted one of our small signs. It's 4 by 5 foot. Thanks to Randy and the service department, that sign went up on a Friday, and I had showings all the next week on the property. I did it on behalf of the city. Being the owner and an owner's rep, I didn't need a license to do so. So I showed the property to approximately 12 individuals. 3 individuals made serious offers on the property, and this is the best offer of the 3. As you can see, it's more than the original appraisal on the property. And the reason we did that, I did that, is I had an asking price of $65. I wanted to make sure that we caught not only the value of the property, but we also caught the cost of the closing costs, which if you see the printout I gave you, and I apologize, but it didn't come in until Monday, $958 in closing costs. So the city will profit approximately $60,500 approximately. I have to do the hard numbers once it closes. So for a property that the city has 2 major investments in, one is we're very, very fortunate we haven't had anyone break in or get hurt at this property, because that could be a situation where we would be liable because it is in our name. And the other issue that's been going on is the ongoing maintenance that has been done very well by our service department last year and this year to maintain it. A couple of casual conversations with the neighbors near it. They're very, very, very happy to see that the city's moving forward to get it repopulated. As I said up front, it currently is a 2-bedroom with a totally unfinished upstairs. The framing is there for a 3rd bedroom. The plan is to re-insulate the property, a new roof, new paint, new landscaping. Acid clean is the term they use, but clean the driveway. At that point, put in a complete new HVAC system with air conditioning, redo the wood floors, all new fixtures, strip out and redo both bathroom and kitchen. And that doesn't even touch the basement at that point. They got to reseal the walls in the basement and tackle those problems. All of us that have done home repair see what we're looking at here. So this investor that won it, we're lucky at this point. And again, it's only an offer stage until council approves it. He's done several others in our community, and every time he's finished one, it's set the standard for a new sale price in that neighborhood. So he has some good plans for this property and feel very confident that he's going to accomplish it over the next year. He is willing to entertain an additional warehouse, 18 months. Well, that would be on something else. On this would be 1 year to rehab it and populate it from the day of transfer. And again, by the time it transfers, if we did go calendar month, it would be sometime in September. and they would work on the inside through the winter and the outside in the spring, and it'd be up for sale for the market next year in May, June. That's the plan. So, any questions, council? I'd be glad to do my best to answer them. Mr. Bergio?
Thank you, Scott. And this money the proceeds will be earmarked for the development fund, economic development fund. It'll go into that.
Yes, it will. For further economic development needs, as the mayor had pointed out, some hopeful needs in the future.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Poindexter?
Thank you, Chairman. Through the chair to Economic Development Commissioner. And speaking with the people interested in buying it, is it slated to be rental property, or are they, basically rehabbing it to sell it right away, or?
Their purpose and what they've done successfully in our community so far is to rehab them and sell them. And that's their purpose with this. They're not interested in being a landlord at this point. Councilman Orcutt, if I may say, lives around the corner in the same area. I live a street away. That house is going to pop, and it's going to go quick, and it'll be a 3-bedroom with a finished, everything will be rebuilt. It's going to be very nice. Like I say, the bones are solid, but it does need about $40,000 worth of work. And it'll bring a nice family to our community, more income through that situation with individuals with work, and then maybe some children who attend our schools, which will bring more dollars into the Brio school system from the state. So it's a win-win for us at that point.
I think I think it'll be better being used than sitting there vacant, so
Yeah.
I'm for this, so.
Yeah.
That's all I have, Chairman.
Salvador?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to Scott. Scott, I know you mentioned it was, I think I heard you say about 40,000 to rehab it. Is that correct? Is that an
Yes.
accurate? I mean, you have
Yes.
quotes for that, or is that just an estimate from?
That would be the investor's estimate, and that's based upon what he's done so far in the community. He wants to do more of an upscale rehab than some others would do, and that's why I was really excited that he wanted. I saw some of his other properties. You're going to have granite tops. You're going to have all new sunken fixtures in there. So these ticket items are going to put that price tag up a little higher, so he can assure himself a profit on this property and roll it into the next one.
This is something I've approached a couple other administrations, and I've had some minor talks with Mayor Gamella as far as the city getting involved in doing some of these projects. And I really look at this as a heck of a opportunity for a kickoff to do just that the city could go in there and find people that live within the city that do the kind of work that's necessary to rehab it. And then we could provide an opportunity for young families to come into Brook Park and provide some type of an assistance in a grant form if they stay in the property for 10 years. If they move, then they got to pay it back. But it's one way of starting to establish some new roots for some young families and getting us in a position to start having home ownership rather than the amount of rentals that are popping up all over Brook Park. Brook Park has become very popular in the way of rental properties, and right now we're in one of the most fabulous booms that I've ever seen in my entire real estate life. It's the prices have gone through the roof, and it's a good opportunity here for us to take a look at it. I'm not saying that what you got here is a bad idea. I would just like to take a little time and look at an option if council and the mayor would think that's a good idea. And I personally would like to take a good hard look at the property before I vote on it in any way, and either in the way of us putting something together that's very attractive, that's heading in a new direction for vacant properties in Brook Park. And if all else fails, then we can always fall back and turn it over to someone else to do what I think we should do. Thank you.
Sure. The letter of intent offer is good. They're looking for a August 28th transfer, just to give you a date, time, and place.
Councilman Mancini?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A little bit as I've looked at this, and I did have a little time with home days over the weekend to look at it, and I definitely want to hear from my colleague, Councilman Orcutt, because as you stated, Mr. Commissioner, it is in his ward, and it's probably not too far from his house. So I know I would feel that way if it was in my ward. That said, I see kind of both ends on this. I see where, you know, a lot of, as you had said, remodeling people came in the past 4, 5, 6 years and have done tremendous jobs on a lot of homes. I also could concur with my colleague, Mr. Salvatore, too, that, you know, do we actually want to get in the real estate business? Maybe totally not, but maybe it's something we can look at, a project of differ. I mean, we hire contractors to do other jobs in the city. Maybe that is something that we could look at also. Again, I didn't go inside the home. I've drove past it a few times. It absolutely needs a lot of work. Probably to the point where I think of to see a new home go there. But I'm a little right now in the middle of this, and a lot of people know I do a little real estate on the side. So, you know, I do have strong feelings both ways. So, but you did bring forward good work on this again, and I appreciate it. Okay, so prefer to let my colleague, Mr. Orcutt, go on this. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, just reiterate, the $40,000 is materials only. Does not include the labor that the men will do themselves. So it's basically a sweat equity project, just to clarify that. That doesn't include, they're not using subcontractors, they're craftsmen in their own right, other than probably the roof. They're going to do the interior work, the walls, the plumbing, and probably job out the electric and the HVAC, but at that point, they'll do most of the work, at least 70% of it themselves. So you would have to factor that into your home. Again, this is the only one we have that has an actual house on it and a reutilization program. We have, in about a year, we'll have 4. Right now, we have 3 vacant lots that are available, buildable lots, with no structures on them. This is the only one with a structure on it. So if you figured in $40,000 in materials, and then you probably have some around another $20,000 in labor, you'd be looking at about a $120 at that point. And you have to look at time value of money, and that's, again, they're doing the interior work other than the HVAC and the electrical. So if you go subcontractor on it, and I think it's a great idea what you're proposing, but the margin isn't there on this particular property. It'd just be a thought off the top of my head at this point.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Through the chairman to our Economic Development Commissioner, Mr. Scott. Just want to let you know that I think that this is a great project. This is very good. So thank you for bringing this in front of us. It has been an eyesore for our neighborhood in that circle that you and I both live in. In fact, we just made that walk around that circle and raised quite a bit of money for cancer when we did that.
The man there led us.
Yes, yes. Councilman Salvatore, Councilman Poindexter joined us. That was a good time. This is a win situation. Either way you look at it, and I just heard 2 different ways that we could go about this.
Right.
It's a win-win situation for the community. It's a win-win situation for everybody living around that home. It's been very bad for the neighbors.
It is.
Just a few questions on that. I've been in the trades for almost 30 years, so some of the things you and I talked about was the basement, and there was a lot of mold. Was that from moisture that was from the interior, from humidity, or was that infiltration from the outside, from the water? Do we have a waterproofing issue with that home?
I think from the inspection that I did, I can't speak for Teddy and his department, and then the 3 developers that came through and looked at it all said the same, that it emitted from the inside. And they feel that it's a sandblast reseal is what they're going to do. And that was one of the selling features of it, because if it had needed that whole front wall redone, for instance, or all 4 walls, you would have added somewhere around $26,000 to $30,000 on the rehab cost at this point.
Okay.
So that was moisture.
Perfect. Another question was, this company, this is the ANFI LLC company.
Yes.
How many homes have they redone in Brook Park?
If I may defer to Teddy for a moment, or John Hurst.
Ted Hurst, 16683 Cricket. I'm going to take a pot shot and tell you probably 12 to 15.
Okay, so this company's been around for some time?
Yeah, the company actually, they are actually subsidiaries or family members of a home building company that's works here in Northeast Ohio. of building custom homes. And obviously, when the market went down and homes were less being built, they went into rehab work as well. And these guys have done probably 12 to, I'm going to say 12 easily in Brook Park. And without fail, they're probably one of the best out there that's doing the work. So.
Okay, perfect. That's something that I follow on a weekly basis. I look at all the homes that are for sale in Brook Park, look at the pricing, see what they've been done. There's been a lot done just in my neighborhood alone, and they've done a great job with them, and whoever they have been. So, again, I think this is a win-win situation, but I do like how the idea was brought up where we can look at it from a different view. So I guess the next question I had was, how much did we actually pay for this property?
Other than the sweat equity from the service department, the hourly wage to cut the lawn, we have $0 tied up into it. There was a $95,000 plus lien on it, but working with our law director and myself, and kudos to the county fiscal office, they removed that entire lien. So it sits there tax-free in our name, and we had no dollars out of pocket in this transaction.
Terrific. That's great. Thank you guys for your hard work on that. Well, I guess we can look at it both ways. If we don't owe anything on it except for the maintenance that our service department has done, maybe one avenue is that we do look into $60,000 worth of work, and if the homes are selling for $120,000, $130,000, which they have been in our neighborhoods, maybe we do look at it and say, instead of making $60,000, maybe we can make 70 or 75. And maybe not on this one, but it's something that we probably should look into in the future. So, again, win-win situation, and thank you for all your hard work, Mr. Adams.
Thank
That's all
you,
I had,
Counselor.
Mr. Chairman.
Mayor?
Thank you. Scott, how long has this property been vacant?
Our best guess is, it says here in the ordinance itself, it's well over 7 years.
How long?
Sometime in 2010.
Okay.
So,
So, thank you. Council, I'd just like to say, we have a piece of property here that's been vacant almost 7 years. It's been an eyesore in the community. We have absolutely $0 invested in it. We're going to clear $60,000. We're going to take care of an eyesore in the community. Quite frankly, I don't want to get into the real estate business. If you'd like to do that at a later date, we can discuss that. I think we should move ahead on this because, again, we're getting rid of an eyesore. We're getting $60,000 we can put in our land bank for when those schools come up, and we can move forward. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Poindexter?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm inclined to agree with the mayor on this. You know, like he said, we have $60,000 we have $0 invested in a property, and we're gonna gain $60,000.
Okay.
It seems like not a very good idea to invest 40 or 50,000 in hopes to recoup another 15 or 20,000. I think the smart move is to sell it as is walk away with 60,000, add that to the 385,000 we're going to obtain from the property on Brook Park Road, and we start building ourselves a little, fund for other acquisitions. And so I'm in support of this, and I'd like to see it move forward.
Last time around, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to our Commissioner, Mr. Adams. First off, a big shout out and a good work to you and our law director on getting that 95. I know that's not easy.
no.
5,000 ain't easy. So that was very good work. I mean that.
Well, Councilman, I sat there for over an hour and a half and waited. And they kept asking me, what do you want? I said, I'm here to get some taxes alleviated off of property. And they said, okay, we'll send you to this guy. So I bounced to 6 different guys. And I finally get in front of the guy who was on the phone all along, who says, you don't need the guys, you need that lady there. So I go and I talk to this real nice lady, and she, what are you trying to do? And they did the research, and a day later they alleviated the funds. So just to give you the background.
That being said, we have no money invested in this. So, as Councilman Orcutt said, we're at a win-win either way. On that, has most of the councilmen, I've seen it from the outside, has most of the council members been able to go on the inside on this?
The key is available through the building department. Also, I have to tell you, the photos used, if you're unable to go there with the key during the process, I'd be glad to meet you during the day if it's possible, on a weekend if that works for you. But those photos are very clear of what the condition is. The only thing missing is the smell. That's the other part of the puzzle that isn't in here, because with the mildew smell and the abandonment since Teddy just figured it out, it's 5/17/2010 is when they wrote the first complaint on it and discovered that it was vacant. The person went into a nursing home.
Okay. What is that date that you threw out, that this deadline date, that was, did you say
The letter of intent offer, they're looking to close August 28th. And it is an all-cash offer. There's no financing.
Okay, August
So,
28th.
Right.
I don't think they're gonna go nowhere.
At this point, I think, you know, if and I totally understand council wanting time to visit the property, walk through it, and, you know, we can even do some possible costing for Councilman Salvatore to see what subcontractors would cost to rehab the property. I don't think we're going to yield anywhere like $60,000 in profits off it in this particular thing because of location and the condition of the property. But if council would indulge and maybe move it to the agenda for first reading, just so we can have the process started so I don't lose the guy.
Yeah, because
that's
our
interested.
next meeting won't be till August 21st.
Right.
Okay, so,
I could work an extension at that time if necessary.
okay. Because I know I've had a few in my ward, and I've had some
Mhm.
torn down in my ward. I actually got
Yeah.
a new one out of my ward, and it worked out. He's not complete as yet, and it's taken a process, but
Right.
it's enhanced the neighborhood, and actually made a big difference there. That house was terrible for years and years, and so
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I want to see where my colleagues go on this, but I do appreciate the good work, Mr. Commissioner. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Councilman, the bigger fear for me, and I know for everyone seated here and in attendance, is that the possibility of a young person going into this property in a vandalizing situation and get hurt. You know, that's something that we can't account for or even budget for. So the faster we get this project under contract and the faster we transfer it, the less liability the city will have as a whole.
Well, someone going in and getting hurt, burning down, a lot of things could happen.
The neighbors around it have been acting like a security force for 7 years. So they've been keeping an eye along with our police department, doing a very good job.
I'm fine with that if councils will move it to first reading and we could go from there.
Anybody else have anything? Salvador, last time around? You got some-
I just want to say I'm in favor of moving it to the meeting of, what did you say, the 21st? That should give us plenty enough time to take a look and see if there are any options available other than what's in front of us. And if there isn't, I'm all for it. And I just want to exercise turn over every rock and make sure we're not missing something.
Sounds good.
Okay, yeah. You got, hold on, Ms. Burgio.
Just a comment, I just agree with all that our economic development director said. If there's an eyesore in a neighborhood, that's a bad thing. Vandalism, and there'd be problems like that. So if we can get rid of that and have a nice remodeled home in a neighborhood, that's an asset to the neighborhood. I'm sure the neighbors will be relieved about that. And like I said before, the proceeds going back into our economic fund, it's just like a win-win situation. So I'm in favor of it also. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Stem?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say I like the ordinance as it is. The city has an opportunity to generate $61,000 right now without using any additional resources. So I think it's well-written the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, what's the pleasure of council?
Motion to move to first reading.
Support.
Okay, any,
Tonight's agenda?
What was the motion tonight?
What's the motion?
Motion to move to first reading for tonight.
tonight's council?
You want to move it to tonight's meeting or the 21st?
21st.
21st.
21st, I'm sorry, 21st.
So the motion would be to move it to the council agenda for August 21st.
Point of clarification. I thought I heard someone say that we were going to move it to tonight's council, let it have its first
Tonight,
reading,
First reading,
and then
Yes.
address it at.
then we
on
have
the
till
21st.
21st to look at it.
That's what I supported.
Your motion was for tonight.
Let's go tonight. We'll go tonight.
I'll support that.
Motion for first reading.
Okay, motion made, properly supported. Any discussion on the motion? Motion is to place on tonight's council agenda for first reading. Michelle, please call roll.
Mancini?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Okay. Options
Thank you,
A.
council.
So,
That number will be 11,031, 2018.
11,031.
11,031, 2018.
Mr. Chairman, that's all I have tonight on the Finance Committee.
Councilman, move to the Legislative Committee. Chairman, Councilman Vincini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a piece, it was placed in committee on November 14, 2017, and it was moved back in committee back in February 13th of 2018. Obviously, it deals with designating the month of October Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the city of Brook Park. Very, very important issue. My name's on it. I just want to see where council wants to go tonight with this piece.
Make a motion to place on September 18th council agenda.
Motion to place back on. Give us that date again.
September 18th.
18th.
Support.
Support. Properly supported. Motion on this. Discussion on the motion. Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Scott?
Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Salvatore?
Just for a point of clarification, is that the caucus or the council?
It's council.
Okay. Yes.
Mancini?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. It's not been moved to the September 18th council meeting, and that's Resolution 28, 2017. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Mancini. We'll go to the Service Committee. Chairman, Councilman Orcutt.
Thank you very much, Councilman Salvatore. This is an ordinance authorizing the consultant engineer to prepare plans and specifications and the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the Holland Road reconstruction project and declaring an emergency, introduced by Mayor Gamella per Council President Vecchio. This time, I'd like to open the floor for discussion. Mr. Salvatore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Guess my question would be either to the engineer or to the mayor. Is this the time is of the essence ordinance?
I would say yes, and I'll defer to the engineer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I would like to see this moved quickly if at all possible. We've already begun some of the preliminary design work, and right now we're scheduled to have plans completed per our OPWC application at the end of this year, so that we can be prepared to go out to bid, during the winter and be ready to put the shovel in the ground as soon as the weather breaks. So I'd like to see this move forward if at all possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. I was going to ask you for a brief description of it, so people in the audience and people at home could get a clear understanding of what we're doing, but you just did it, so. If there are no other questions, I'd like to make a motion placed on the next council agenda.
I support.
Support.
A motion to be placed on tonight's council agenda, properly supported. Michelle, call the roll.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Mancini?
Yes. Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
That will appear as ordinance number 11,032-2018.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion so made.
Support.
Motion made and properly supported to adjourn. Would you please call the roll?
Mancini?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Salvatore?
Yes. Meeting stands adjourned. What do you have a time? 7:45. Now we'll move right into the council meeting, and I'll turn it over to Council President Vecchio.
Thank you, Mr. Salvatore. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, July 17, 2018 council meeting for the city of Brook Park. Michelle, please call the roll.
Scott?
Here.
Bergio?
Here.
Orcutt?
Here.
Stem?
Here.
Mancini?
Here.
Poindexter?
Here.
Salvatore?
Here.
If everyone would, please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Moving on to item C, approval of minutes of preceding meetings. We have 4 on tonight's agenda. First one is a caucus prior to the council meeting held on June 19, 2018.
Motion to approve those caucus
Actually,
meetings.
council, if we'd like to go down through each, we can do it as a mass motion, or you guys want to do them individually is what I was
The
going to offer
mass
up.
motion would be good. I'm fine with that.
Support.
And we'll continue
As long
down
as there are
through.
no corrections or deletions or additions, it's fine.
Right. Does anybody on any of those have any corrections or deletions or anything?
I'll be abstaining from the June 26th.
Okay, perfect.
personally.
Then we'll have to, if we're going to go all the way down through, we'll have to do each one individually then. All right, so back to the first one. Caucus prior to the council meeting held on June 19, 2018.
Motion to approve the caucus before the council meeting on June 19th.
Support.
Motion to approve the June 19th caucus prior to council meeting minutes properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Salvatore?
Yes.
The June 19th caucus prior to minutes are approved. Item number 2, regular council meeting minutes held on June 19th, 2018.
Motion to approve those regular council meeting minutes on June 19th.
Support.
Motion to approve the June 19th regular council meeting minutes properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Salvatore?
Yes.
The June 19th regular council meeting minutes are approved. Item number 3, the special council meeting minutes held on June 23rd, 2018.
Motion to approve those special council meeting minutes from June 23rd.
Support.
Motion to approve the special council meeting minutes from June 23rd properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Those meeting minutes have been approved. And number 4, the special caucus meeting held on June 26, 2018 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve those special caucus minute
Actually,
meetings.
I believe that, Mr. Bergio, did you have a correction to those?
I was on vacation.
Who's
I just
absent?
You were on
abstained.
vacation. You were on
Motion to approve those special caucus meeting minutes without Mr. Bergio on the 26th.
Support.
Motion to approve the special caucus meeting minutes held on June 26th without Mr. Bergio properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bergio?
Abstain.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Salvatore?
Yes.
The special caucus meeting held on June 26th minutes have been approved. Moving on to letter D, reports of standing committees. First one is Aviation Environmental. Councilman Poindexter.
Thank you, Council President. Nothing new to report today.
Thank you. Moving on, Finance Committee. Councilman Scott.
Thank you, sir. We have 2 items on the agenda tonight. One of them is the property located at 15810 Harrison Drive, and the other one is the ordinance number 1111027-2018 to be hopefully suspended and killed tonight. Hopefully that's what we'll do tonight. That's all I got. Oh, I'm sorry. 10 items on the Board of Control were approved also.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Moving on to the Legislative Committee, Councilman Mancini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As of tonight, we've had on caucus, we had a resolution, and that was the breast cancer for month of October, and we moved that to September 21st. So that's all I have. Anybody needs anything out of the legislative committee, please let me know. So
Thank you,
September
Councilman.
18th would be the date on that.
Thank you, Councilman. Moving on to Parks and Recreation Committee, Councilman Salvatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few of our baseball and softball leagues are winding down, and we're heading into tournament time. But we do have a couple of championships that have been obtained. And our AAA boys, the championship team was Councilman Orcutt. They started the season like gangbusters, and they ended it the same way. So congratulations, Mr. Orcutt, for a fine season. I'm sure they'll be recognized later at a council meeting. In the boys AA, the Councilman Salvatore team won, and I'm very proud of that. And soon the tournaments will be winding down, and I'll be the winners of the tournaments. And as the other leagues champions become available, I'll have that in my next report. In the girls' leagues, the 7, 8, and 9 championship was held this week, and the Beautification and Pride Committee won that one. It was probably one of the best games of the season. They went to 6 innings to the final inning, and the final score was 11-10. Could have flipped a coin, and they both could have won that game, but unfortunately, somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. But it was a well-fought game, and I'm very proud of both teams. I happened to be at that game. They played a fantastic game. Home days went very well. Great congratulations go out to Amanda, Danny, Andres, and of course Mark for a job well done. I don't want to elaborate too much on it, because I'm sure Mark's got it in his report. So I'll let the mayor and the director talk about home days, because obviously they did a lot of the work on it. I just have an announcement about football and cheerleading signups are going on now. So make sure you stop by the rec center and get signed up. I understand the football signups are a little slow. And Councilman Mancini just asked me on my way in to make sure I mention it tonight, because they really want to get some participation. Councilman Orcutt mentioned it to me, that they're looking forward to putting a couple extra teams on the field, and we can't do it without people signing up. So anybody who's watching, anybody in the audience, if you know anybody that wants to play football, get them up to the rec center, and Mark will take it from there. And a big congratulations goes out to our junior Miss Brook Park, Layla Virgili, and hopefully she'll be coming before us. We'll be introducing a resolution honoring her. I would ask council to join me, and we'll get something started, and we'll bring her to a council meeting and honor her for her representing Brook Park for the next year. Other than that, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Salvatore. Moving on to the Planning Committee, Councilman Pergio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Planning Commission has legislation on tonight's agenda.
Thank you. Safety Committee, Councilman Stem.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank all of our safety forces for their jobs this weekend and home days and every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Service Committee, Councilman Orcutt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The Service Committee has one item on tonight's agenda, Ordinance 1131, 2018, Holland Road Reconstruction Project. At this time, I'd like to express my appreciation to all city employees from all departments that contributed to another successful home days. A big thanks to our service department for all their hard work with setup, tear down, and everything in between to make the 2018 home days great as usual. Just a quick notification here. It's about a few phone calls I did receive about tires and disposing of paint. Residents can bring household pesticides, cleaners, and paints, excluding latex paint, to the service garage Monday through Friday between 7:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. Propane tanks, tires without rims, and rechargeable batteries can also be dropped off at the garage. Used car batteries and old motor oil also can be taken up to AutoZone. The city cannot accept latex paint, so this is the directions on what you need to do with latex paint. The paint must be dried up before you dispose of the cans. Allow the paint to dry by removing the lid and allowing the liquids to evaporate. Use kitty litter, sawdust, oil dry, or commercial paint dry to dry up all latex paint. At that time, dispose of the can with in your regular trash with the lid off of it. All the hazardous waste disposal information can be found on the Brook Park Service Department website, or you may call the Service Department at 216-433-7192. And then in conclusion, I'd like to thank our Service Director, Mr. Gardner, and all your men and women down at the Service Garage for all their hard work and dedication that they provide to this community every day. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman. Moving on to the Board of Zoning Appeals, Councilman Scott.
Thank you, sir. The Board of Zoning has nothing on the agenda tonight.
Thank you. That concludes letter D. We'll move on to letter E, reports of special committees, Southwest General Health Center, trustee Mr. Salvatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a brief announcement. We haven't had a meeting with the board since my last report, but I do want to report that Moody's affirmed Southwest General's A2 rating. The A2 rating reflects Moody's expectations that Southwest General will continue to enjoy a leading market position. The benefits from the hospital's long-standing relationship with the university and a strong commitment of operating cash flow margins is the reason why the rating is what it is. So just some points of interest that also provide for a strong rating is the relationship that we have with the university obviously is very important. And the connection that Southwest has with our communities that support Southwest General, and the hospital's ability to deliver financial results. And these are all key points to why the rating is solid. We're doing very well. And last, I just want to make an announcement. If anybody here wants to be in the 28th annual golf outing, to get a hold of me. There's still a couple of spots left. They're going pretty quick, but I think we could probably put together a Brook Park team. If you're interested, let me know, and Brook Park can be represented at the golf outing. Other than that, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Salvatore. Next is the Berea Board of Education Committee. Ms. McDonald is not here. Mr. Poindexter.
Thank you, Council President. I'd just like to remind everybody again that the orientation times for all of the schools in the district are on the website, the school district website, and that's basically it. Thanks.
Thank you. That concludes letter E. We'll move on to letter F, reports of boards and commissions. We do not have any this evening. Move to letter G, introduction of resolutions of commendation. There are none. Letter H, reports and communications from the mayor. Mayor Gamella.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Council, first off, we had a very successful home days. I want to thank all the members of council. I saw a lot of you there working in the various booths, doing some things volunteering. So congratulations, and we were successful. We knocked off the Channel 19 All-Stars, so congratulations for all of you who played. Very good job. And I want to thank, obviously, the Recreation Director, Mark Elliott, and his staff. They just did an outstanding job at home days, as did all our safety forces. The kids loved the safety display over at the Safety Force building, and that went very well. And again, I want to thank the safety forces, the auxiliaries, the CERT team. They were all out there working diligently, and we appreciate it. The service committee did an outstanding job. Randy, thank you very much. And just the various community groups who make Brook Park a community and who make it our home. It all spelled out in excellent home days. We had no big difficulties, so I just want to say thank you to everyone out there. Hope the residents enjoyed it, and we already had a meeting today to make it better next year. And with that, I have one other thing. The newest, well, I'll just say, thing going on is called Airbnbs. I'm sure you're familiar with Air Bed and Breakfast, where people can rent out their house and for a week or so. The problem is a lot of people are making these permanent businesses where they're going to rent the house out every single week. Their intent when they buy the house is to rent it out every single week, and I see a problem with that. I can't see putting that in a residential section because that's a business. I don't care how you cut it, it's a business. So that's something I'll be bringing forward and talking with you about. But other than that, everything's going very smoothly, and I appreciate everybody working together, and we're going to move this city forward. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Salvatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to the mayor. Mayor, I thought the legislation that we had passed relative to short-term rental would cover that in residential areas.
Rick, we're looking at that, and the law director has in fact, stated that to me. However, I looked at the city of Akron just recently banned Airbnbs completely. And again, my issue isn't so much if you're going to rent your house out once a year, something going on, I've got it. But people are starting to buy houses, and not just in our community, throughout the county, for the expressed purpose of leasing them out every single week. And where our legislation would cover it, where you have to be the homeowner, well, who's to say, well, I'm living here and I'm living there? But my point is, Rick, and your point is well taken, by the way, we've got to get a handle on this now before it becomes a big issue. Because right now it's a very, very minuscule issue, only to 1 or 2 places in the city I can think of, but we're going to get ahead of it. And I'll expect your help with your expertise on real estate and council as well. And the law director, she does an excellent job, and I appreciate her.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mancini.
Okay, gonna be here a minute. Mayor, on the piece that I'd passed, I believe that's in there. I believe the homeowner has to live in the home. I mean, I think we kind of covered a lot of ground. There's a lot of stipulations. We have 3 in Brook Park. Now, I think it passed, so I'm just assuming now that, you know, if somebody wants to do it, there's a lot more stipulations than just buying a house, and like this house on Harrison, and renting it out and short-term leasing it. I don't know maybe where we're missing here.
Jim, the legislation is sponsored. I believe I co-sponsored that with you.
You did.
What was an excellent piece. I just want to tighten this thing up because I don't want it to become a big, big problem. We're going to relook at it. And again, I think it's a problem running a business in a residential section 52 weeks out of the year.
Okay, that's fine. I'm looking forward to having that discussion.
Thank you. I just want to bring it to your attention.
I thought we covered it well, but I'm fine, Mayor. There's no problem with that. On that, Mayor, well, you know, and everyone's passing out a lot of kudos, and they do go out, and I will give them, yourself included, on home days. Everybody. I thought it went well. I'm sure there's some people out there looked at a few things. I'd like to know how that meeting did go over it. I think that the concert thing getting moved back was great. Like I said last week, there's a lot of people say we'll put the fireworks on the 4th, and you cut a lot of things out. But them are things I'm sure to be discussed. But I thought the police, I thought absolutely. The service garage, they came off of Bulk Monday. It was a very hot weekend. And the parade went good. The rec group did really well. Like you had said, the community booths were fantastic. We definitely want to keep them in on that. I will say this, that the beauty pageant, all 4 girls did well. Not very easy to get up there, but all 4 girls did well. Hopefully next year we have, 14 of them. And I think everybody did a really great job on a very hot weekend, and there was a little bit of change of direction, but it went very well. The other thing being on that too, I want to give congratulations out to my 2 girls softball teams. One is still active in the tournament, my high school team, and my 12-14 team did very well. They both did very well. So thank you, Mayor. Very good weekend.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Mancini. Mr. Bergio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the risk of being redundant, it was a very good home days. We've had a lot of good home days in the past, but I think that this is right up there with the best of them. And everything went well. I have not received one complaint, not one phone call. And when I have bumped into somebody in the store or getting a haircut, they've always said, hey, that was a great home days. And fireworks was good. Not one complaint. So hats off to everybody that was involved. And the service department, again, they got the streets back. We had tons of candy in the street. I know that. That must have been a big job in itself, but they've cleaned everything up really quickly, and we're back in order again. So I just want to give everybody the attaboy for that, because it was really a concerted effort. Everybody worked together, so I was glad to see that. But it was a great home days. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Bergio. Mr. Poindexter.
Thank you, Council President. Through the chair to the mayor. Mayor, again, like everyone else, I'd like to thank you for the weekend. I think things went off without a hitch, and I know you had a lot to do with that. My question to you is, will there be anything presented to council about a roads program for this year, or something moving forward to next year here in the near future? I know we haven't discussed much of the roads lately, and I'd like to see some discussion continue on that. If you could bring something forward.
The answer to your question is yes, and shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'd just like to follow up, Mayor. It was a great weekend. I'd like to thank everybody for inviting some of the members of council to play in the game, and Mr. Bergio, yourself, for coaching. It was a lot of fun. It was hot. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I know I did, and I'm sure that the members of council that played did. Brook Park puts on the best show, that's for sure, and that's evidenced on Sunday night with the amount of people here. But you know, the one thing I will say is our police department does a phenomenal job, and special thanks goes out to them for any of the issues that may have taken place that they handled, along with directing traffic out of the city at 11 o'clock at night. I know that I was in the midst of it, and we moved right along, so thank you. All right, moving on. Letter I, reports and communications from departments, commissions, and other public officials. Mr. Piatek, we'll start with you tonight.
No report this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Garner.
Thank you, Council President. Now, as it's been said, there was a home days this past weekend. We're in the process of wrapping that up. I too would like to thank my department first and foremost. Those people spend a lot of time out there doing cleanup, what have you, and working with the police department, fire department. I met the fireworks people 7:30 both days. So a lot of effort from a lot of people, a lot of meetings throughout the year to make this event possible. We should be back to a regular schedule from the service department tomorrow. We've started crosswalk striping today. So if you come up on these guys working, just give them a little space. There'll be lanes closed. They won't be very long. The paint dries pretty quick, so just give them a little time. Wait for traffic to clear before you proceed. Other than that, I think that concludes my report. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Garner. We'll move to our law director, Mrs. Horvath.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe council has been provided with the list of pending civil litigation. If anyone has any questions about any of the cases, I will be happy to answer those questions to the extent that I would be able to. And other than that, I have no further report. I would like to add my thanks to Mayor's Office, Rec Department, Service Department, Police, our safety forces, and all of council for such a nice home days. I know I enjoyed it. I know my 3-year-old grandson and my 1-year-old granddaughter really, really enjoyed it. And I just wanted to thank everyone and for their hard work and their dedication. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Law Director. We'll move on to our Rec Director, Mr. Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilman Salvatore had mentioned earlier, we are just winding down baseball and softball at this time. Also this week, on Friday night, we will be hosting a wrestling show inside the center, and out on the football field, we'll have a movie, which will be on the new equipment that we just purchased earlier through the capital budget. You'll, if you get a chance to stop over, the screen is, it is enormous. So it should really be, hopefully the weather cooperates. And speaking of that, you know, it's been hot. I certainly entertain and invite families and friends to continue to come down to the water park. And just to comment on the home days, you know, this type of event, it does take a great effort, a great team effort, and all the departments, from the support of the mayor, the police department, fire, service, building. My staff was just outstanding, and there's months and months of planning that really goes into that. But City Council, all of you participated in some way, and I think that's outstanding for you and for those who you represent. It was nice to see a lot of community groups come back and participate. So as the mayor mentioned, we are working on it already for next year. And, you know, as you see us, you have an idea, please don't be afraid to share that idea with us. And certainly we'll listen, and anything new and exciting, we certainly would like to do that. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Move on to our Finance Director, Mr. Single.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No report tonight.
Thank you. Council, questions for the directors? Mr. Orcutt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to Service Director, Mr. Gardner, One question for you. It was about, and I know this winter was extremely bad. I believe in December we had 9 straight days of plowing, had a day or two where we didn't have snow, and then right back at it again. Those streets were really torn up. It's probably worse than it's ever been in a while. How often, and I know home days probably throws everything out the window, but now that that's over, how often does our hot patch crew out Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday?
As of tomorrow, they'll start, the hot patch crew will go out, and they'll go out every day now, barring the weather and staffing. We should be able to run the crew the rest of the summer. We're gonna start first thing in the morning.
Okay, perfect, thank you. I know you're limited with your people, but I know that's the number one thing that I've got coming in right now. It's those potholes. Some of them are in some major intersections, and again, I do appreciate all the hard work from your department. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Salvatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to the Service Director. I'm away at a meeting tonight. I got a call from a resident on Settlement Acres. I haven't had a chance to talk to the Ward 4 councilman yet. I'm hoping that we could stop on our way home, but he mentioned something about a sinkhole on Settlement Acres. And are you familiar with that? Have you had a chance to?
No, sir, I'm not aware of that.
Okay. I'll stop by on the way home with Councilman Scott, and if that is any truth to that, we'll get a hold of you through the mayor tomorrow morning then.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Salvatore. Mr. Bergio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To our Service Director, also talking about the potholes. Looks like a lot of I've seen some recent potholes filled, and it looks pretty good. And I think that, especially along the parade route, there was no significant holes there. So I know that you guys did that anticipating that's the route, and it was a good safety idea. I'm glad you guys did that. Also, on the striping, I did see the striping on the, I think, Westbrook and around that area too. Are we doing that in-house? Our own people doing that?
The crosswalks, yes, sir, we are. They have designated areas to start at, working from the school zones out into the neighborhoods. Certainly going to do that time permitting. In August, we'll start a street striping 2 weeks. Try to do some of our yellow and white dash lines throughout the city. And that too will be done in-house.
Mm-hmm. I think my recollection, we had that contracted out to Traffic Tech over the years, and I just wondered if this is the first year we're doing it again, or have we been doing that for a while?
We've been doing it in-house several years.
Okay.
Maybe 8 or 9.
8 or 9, okay. All right, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Bergio. Mr. Salvatore.
Thanks again, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to the Finance Director. Greg, I know a couple of weeks back we talked about putting some numbers together about the loss in revenue from income from the loss of the teachers at the schools. Have you had a chance to put those numbers together yet for me?
Through the chair, Councilman Salvatore, yes, I have. If you could call me tomorrow, I can share those with you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? I just want to ask you, Mr. Garner, real quick. I don't know if you're overseeing or whom is or the mayor, but I know that Officer Sensel has been with the diversion program out painting some of the hydrants along with having some of the Boy Scouts, and I'd like to recognize them for their hard work and thank you guys if you guys are part of it and overseeing the list.
Yes, the fire department's furnishing the paint. We're supplying some supplies, but certainly Officer Sensel is handling all those people and making sure they're doing where they need to be.
I noticed them on the parade route, and they looked really good, so thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, we will move on. To letter J, other communications and petitions and verbal approval, introduction of new legislation. We have 2 items. First one is an ordinance authorizing the consulting engineer to prepare plans and bid documents and the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the 2018 crack and joint sealing project and declaring an emergency. I will assign this to the service committee. Second one is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to hire inspectors for the 2018 crack and joint sealing project and declaring an emergency. This will also be assigned to the service committee. That completes letter J. We will move on to letter K, miscellaneous business appointments and confirmations. We have nothing. Moving to letter L, remarks from the audience on any subject matter. Anyone that would like to speak from the podium, now is the time to do so. You can come up and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one coming to the podium, we will move forward. Moving to letter M, introduction of ordinances and resolutions under first reading. We have 4 items. First one is Resolution 21-2018.
Introduced by Mayor Gamella, authorizing all actions necessary to accept a community development block grant for the purchase of 3 police cruisers and declaring an emergency.
Second one is ordinance number 11,030. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
You're rushing.
yeah, I was rushing through. Back me up, hold on. I was out for a few minutes.
Go to your room.
Thank you, Mr. Salvatore. And thanks for covering for me.
Move to suspend.
Support.
Motion to suspend, properly supported. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll on suspension.
Mancini,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Move to adopt.
Support.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Salvatore?
Chairman, through the chair to the mayor, I'd like to ask the mayor if he would accept co-sponsors.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Salvatore.
Council, anybody would like to sponsor, co-sponsor? All of council? All right, so motion to adopt, properly supported. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Orcutt.
Yes.
Resolution 21-2018 has been adopted. Next is ordinance number 11,030-2018.
Introduced by Mayor Gamella, approving a parking lot addition and alterations at 17400 Holland Road, Brook Park City Hall Administrative Offices, located in the Municipal and Board of Education Zone, and declaring an emergency.
Move to suspend.
Support.
Motion to suspend, properly supported. Discussion on the motion. Madam Law Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I regret to inform council that there is a typo in section 3 of this piece. The typo is my fault, I'm the typist. And you will see the end of the 4th sentence, beginning with lot. The words lot, consolidation, and split should be struck, and added in, it should say parking lot addition and alterations.
Could you repeat that amendment, please?
Certainly. The words lot, consolidation, and split should be stricken, and in their place, parking lot addition and alterations should be added in.
Mr. Council President, I'll make a motion to amend.
Amend under adoption, sir, so you're fine with your suspension.
Okay.
So there's a motion to suspend, properly supported. Discussion on that motion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Motion to suspend is approved. Motion to adopt,
Support.
properly supported. Gentlemen will have to make the amendment now.
Okay, I'll make that amendment. On section 3, we take out lot consideration, consolidation and split. Put parking lot and
Alterations.
additions, and alterations. Parking lot additions and alterations will replace lot consolidation and split, and that'd be on, section 3.
So motion to adopt with the stated amendment. Michelle, would you please read the amendment so everybody has it for record?
Section 3, fourth line, beginning with the word, Section 3, third line, ending word lot, consolidation, and split will be deleted, and inserted will be parking lot addition and alterations.
Thank you. Motion to adopt with the stated amendment. Oh, Mr. Salvatore?
Point of order.
Point.
The roll has to be called on the amendment first, and then adoption to follow.
Thank you, sir.
So I made the amendment.
Motion,
I need a support.
So I'll support that amendment.
motion to amend properly supported. Discussion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll on the amendment.
Mancini,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Stem.
Yes.
Motion to amend is approved.
Move to adopt.
Support.
Motion to adopt properly supported. Discussion on adoption. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll on adoption.
Mancini,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Ordinance number 11,030-2018 with amendments has been adopted. Item number 3 is ordinance number 11,031-2018.
Introduced by Mayor Gamella, authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract for the sale of property located at 15810 Harrison Drive, permanent parcel number 343-07-048, and declaring an emergency.
First reading.
Ordinance number 11,031-2018 has had its first reading. Moving on, ordinance number 11,032-2018.
Introduced by Mayor Gamella, authorizing the consulting engineer to prepare plans and specifications, and the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into contracts for the Holland Road reconstruction project, and declaring an emergency.
Move to suspend.
Support.
Motion to suspend, properly supported. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll on suspension.
Mancini,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Suspension is approved.
Move to adopt.
Support.
Motion to adopt, properly supported. Discussion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll on adoption.
Mancini,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Ordinance number 11,032-2018 has been adopted. With nothing else under letter M,
Motion to adjourn.
We got in.
we have to move to letter N yet.
Oh, okay. I was
I
on the
thought I
road
was
doing
going
all this
quick, Jim.
first motion stuff. I didn't want to stop.
It's only an all-second.
Okay, that's right.
Moving to letter N, second reading of ordinances and resolutions. We have one. Ordinance number 11,027-2018.
Move to suspend.
Support.
Motion to suspend, properly supported. Discussion? Seeing none?
Scott.
Supported.
Suspension, support.
Okay.
Michelle, please call the roll on suspension.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Mancini,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Suspension is approved.
Move to
Motion
adopt.
Support.
Motion to adopt, properly supported. Discussion on adoption. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll.
Poindexter,
No.
Bergio,
No.
Scott,
No.
Orcutt,
No.
Stem,
No.
Mancini,
No.
Salvatore.
No.
Adoption has failed. Moving on to letter O, third reading of ordinances and resolutions. There aren't any. At this time, I will take a motion to go into executive session for the purchase and/or sale of property.
Adjourn and then go to executive?
I thought it was for
After, sir. I'll take a motion to go to.
I
executive-
motion to go in executive session.
Support.
Motion to go to executive session for the sale of property properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Salvatore. Jim,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Vergio,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Motion to go to executive session is approved. We'll reconvene at the conclusion of executive session.